Let's go! Good evening, fans of the Heartland, and welcome to this week's edition of the Heartland Highlight Reel. My name is Dave Little, and we are recording from the Dave Cave. It is Thursday night, December the 11th, 2025, and we are 2 weeks away from Christmas, but the action in the Heartland continues to rage. And this week we have all kinds of action from the Heartland and from around the Filsinger Gaming universe. To kick things off last night in the Montreal Forum, it was the superstars of Patriot Championship Wrestling taking center stage with a very fun night of action and a lot of interesting developments that took place in Montreal last night. The show started with a battle of the pupil versus the teacher, and it was the pupil, Hercules Hernandez, overpowering his former mentor, Hiro Matsuda, and getting the victory with a full Nelson into a big backbreaker. So Hercules Hernandez taking the measure of Hiro Matsuda. Then we saw the team of Thunderbolt Patterson and Pepper Gomez take on the team of the Body Donnas, Dr. Tom Pritchard and Chris Candido. Thunderbolt Patterson getting the pinfall in that one with a sunset flip over Chris Candido. Big win for Thunderbolt and Gomez. Next up, it was the latest match in an ongoing rivalry between Rowdy Roddy Piper and the Great Gamma. And last night, it was all Rowdy Roddy Piper. Gamma has beaten Piper on a couple of previous occasions, but last night it was Piper who dominated the match and took out the Great Gamma with a sleeper hold. Next up, it was the team of Mr. Wrestling 1 and Mr. Wrestling 2 taking on the former Patriot Tag Team Champions Bruiser Brody and Jimmy Snuka. We'll have more about that match later. For the moment, we will just announce that it was Mr. Wrestling, Tim Woods, getting the pinfall victory over Jimmy Snuka with a headstand cradle. More on that to come. Vader came up next against superstar Billy Graham in a big match of two powerful men. Unfortunately for superstar Billy Graham, he had a collision with the Grand Wizard on the ring apron, allowing Vader to take advantage and score a running body avalanche to get the pin. Vader with the win over superstar Billy Graham. All right, we mentioned the controversy. The craziness that happened in that match between Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2 and the team of Bruiser Brody and Jimmy Snuka. It was a battle that took place on the outside of the ring as Jimmy Snuka, who was losing the match and in big trouble, threw Mr. Wrestling number 1, Tim Woods, out of the ring and picked up a steel chain to come after Tim Woods. But before Snuka could do any damage with that steel chain, he was interrupted by this man, big Mark Henry. Mark Henry, cooler heads prevailing as certainly Mr. Woods and Mr. Wrestling 2, two of the finest sportsmen in the history of wrestling, and it would take a really ridiculous act of cowardice to come after one of those two with a foreign object. Mark Henry, not about to let that happen, interposed himself and got into the face of Jimmy Snuka, preventing him from using that steel chair, throwing Snuka back into the ring where he was cradled and pinned by Mr. Wrestling. A grudge match challenge has been issued, and it has been accepted. And we will see Mark Henry against Superfly Jimmy Snuka in our pay-per-view broadcast later in December. And finally, that took us to our final match of the evening, our feature contest a number one contenders match for the Patriot Tag Team Championship, as the team of the Mongols, Bolo and Gito Mongo, took on the Rock and Roll Express. That match got crazy, and it ended in a double disqualification. Ricky Morton, as he is wont to do, was on the receiving end of a beating from both of the Mongols. The beating continued until Robert Gibson finally came into the ring to save his partner. That led to a four-way brawl in the ring and out, and eventually that match was thrown out, declared a no contest, a double disqualification, and those two teams will square off again at our December pay-per-view in a number one contenders match. The winner of that match will move on for a shot at the Road Warriors. The Road Warriors, of course, will have their opportunity at the December pay-per-view to take a shot at the World Tag Team Championship. In the main event of our December pay-per-view, it will be the Midnight Express, Beautiful Bobby Eaton and Sweet Stan Lane, with James E. Cornette at ringside, and they will be taking on the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, with Gary Hart in their corner. That will take place on December 20th in the Baltimore Arena at our December pay-per-view broadcast. Proud to be awesome. All right, so that will get you caught up on what happened last night in the Heartland. Let's take a look around the Filsinger Games universe. Velvet Wrestling, as always. The dice are running hot on the tabletop of one Neil Lau. A new men's heavyweight champion crowned in Velvet Wrestling, and that man is the one and only Steve Kern. Steve Kern with a victory over Kevin Sullivan to pick up the championship gold in Velvet Wrestling. Also in Velvet Wrestling, their namesake, Velvet Sky, picked up the Ladies Intercontinental Championship with a stunning victory over Martina. Velvet Sky accompanied in that match by the one and only, the suave, the sophisticated, the man, the myth, the legend, Epic Dave, at ringside with Velvet Sky in that contest. Also in the Velvet Wrestling universe, a major decision was made by the Velvet Wrestling Championship Committee that Velvet wrestlers will be permitted to defend their titles outside of the Velvet Wrestling domain. Negotiations underway for a Velvet Wrestling Championship match to perhaps take place in the Heartland. Those negotiations are ongoing. One agreement has been reached, that at the January 1st Buckeye Bowl, the Heartland equivalent of the Royal Rumble, the Buckeye Bowl annually taking place on January 1st, that match will include whoever happens to be the reigning Velvet Heavyweight Champion on January 1st. Huge news from Velvet Wrestling and Heartland Championship Wrestling, as they have come together to reach an agreement for Velvet talent to appear at the Buckeye Bowl. Also in the Filsinger Gaming universe, the Uncivil War on the tabletop of Frank Wainscott took place on December the 7th, pitting the forces of the NWA against the rebels from the ECW. And in the main event, it was Harley Race, the reigning NWA World Heavyweight Champion, picking up a successful title defense with a big win over Ox Baker. Harley Race versus Ox Baker, that was a showdown for the ages. Also on that show, Eddie Gilbert became your new ECW World Champion with a victory over Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam, the favorite in that match. Eddie Gilbert able to turn the tables with the assistance of a new friend, Mr. Hughes. Mr. Hughes, Curtis Hughes, came down to ringside to assist Eddie Gilbert and help him gain the victory over Rob Van Dam to win the ECW Championship. Thank you for Frank Wainscott and all of his great action. Other winners on that card included Wahoo McDaniel with a victory over Steve Carino in a strap match. Super Crazy with a victory over Juventud Guerrera. In a wild six-man match, Johnny Valentine and the Sheepherders got a victory over Killer Kowalski and the Pitbulls. Also in a Singapore Cane match in that show, it was the Sandman getting the win over Kevin Sullivan. So thank you to Frank Wainscott for another excellent week of wrestling promotion as seen on the Filsinger Games Promoters Facebook group. And finally, to catch things up in the Heartland on Saturday night, it will be Saturday night, December the 13th. It will be Heartland Ladies Wrestling on the air. I have been doing some Sunday shows. I have a commitment this Sunday night. So Saturday night we will be live and on the air with Heartland Ladies Wrestling. I believe Indianapolis is the location for that card. And in the main event, it will be the Mistress of Mayhem Championship on the line as Mickie James defends that title that she wears so proudly against the challenge of Christina Von Eerie, Saturday night. We'll try to get that on late afternoon, probably around 5 o'clock Central Time, as I do want to check out Saturday night's main event and see John Cena's final match on live television on December the 13th. So that is where we will wind things up for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the Heartland Highlight Reel. We will see you on Saturday night with our next live broadcast from the Dave Cave. And until then, that's our show, and I am out of here.